Hello world, and we're back. I'm Gary Fischl, and this is Video Log. I don't do these, I don't know what number I'm on.
Dad, I wish you could just shut your big yapper!
Hello world, and we are back. My name's Kyle Fischl. This is going to be episode 54 of my poker vlog. For this episode, I'm going to be covering the meetup game that occurred August 1st. We were playing 1-3, 200 to 500 max, but it quickly turned into a 1-3-10 game. It played kind of big for relatively short stacks, which eventually grew into big stacks. It was quite a fun game, honestly. Congratulations to the guy next to me who hit a high hand and was gifted a $1,000 high hand bonus, so cheers to that guy. We had a bomb pot every half hour, $10 a piece, so that created some action. It was really a fun time. I might try to run that game maybe the first Saturday of every month going forward, or some variation of that. So if you're interested in playing that game, comment, and I'm gonna see how often I try to run it. So we're gonna get right into some hands. First interesting hand. With two limpers to me, I'm in late position with Jack 10 offsuit. I raised to $15. The big blind decides he's gonna raise to $35. There is one caller, and it's back to me. My hand doesn't actually play too well against 3-bets, but it's a meetup game and no one likes a nit, so we're gonna play this one in position and see what the flop is. The flop is 10-10-3-2 clubs, so the dealer rewards me for playing a marginal hand. The pre-flop aggressor checks, the other player checks to me. I bet $50. Just gonna build a pot as I should have the best hand all day. Because he's a pre-flop 3-better, he could easily have aces, kings, or queens, which are drawing very, very thin and will likely pay me off for multiple streets, as well as some ace-high flush draws we can get value from. Pre-flop 3-better decides to call, and the other player calls as well. So we're going 3 ways to a turn card, which is a 2 of diamonds. When it's checked to me a second time, there's really only one option based on my stack size, and that is all in. And we have some video.
Is it on?
I don't know.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I would request you get my good side though. Call.
We call him.
How much is that?
100, 175, 200, 225, 230, 234 total bet.
Guess we'll see.
And then how much is that? How much do you have?
He called him.
He just called.
He just called.
I was just wondering how much he has total.
He can't raise.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in Buffalo.
They took it upstairs.
Wow. Kyle.
Uh-oh.
I hope you got a 10.
I'm thinking of a specific card on the
230.
river.
234.
I'm thinking of one specific card on the river.
I think Kyle, I'm going to guess.
234.
Kyle's got Jack 10.
That's impossible.
You flushing down there?
Am I right? That's my guess.
You got the overpay. You got the overpay?
Jack 10, you're good if no club hits, I think. In my opinion.
Maybe.
234.
Hi. Hi-ya.
Your action. Who checks?
I lose.
I have this one.
You win.
Break that
Jackpot.
down.
You have flush draw? Oh, where's the club?
I had 3 10s and I didn't get paid that
What'd
much.
you have? What'd you have? 400?
Oh boy. Oh wow. Look at that. Look at. Yep, so likely against 2 flush draws that happened to brick and I held on. So we are off to quite a good start in this first ever meetup game. Next interesting hand. It would not be a real poker vlog with a meetup game unless you included a bomb pot in your analysis. I think that in bomb pots in general, one pair is never good enough, even top pair. We are going 9 ways to a flop, which comes Jack, Jack, 8, 2 hearts. I am in early position, thinking that all flush draws and straights are gonna call any bet I put out, as well as the fact that all jacks that are better than me are going to call anyway. I don't really see this as a board where I should be leading out into 9 players. Thinking that someone with a flush draw or straight draw will put out a bet, I decide to check. Ironically, the board checks all the way through. Now the turn is a 7. Because an obvious straight got there, I think I'm kind of handcuffed again. I don't think I can really put out a bet here because I think 10-9 would check and now has me drawing pretty thin. So again, I don't really think this is a card I can bet again, even even though my hand is very, very strong. So I check. It checks to a middle position player who bets $40. There's one caller to me, and I am definitely going to call, as I have a hand that really is just a call. If I raise, only better hands will likely continue, and all worse hands will fold. So this is kind of just a call and reevaluate on the river. And dealer, I'm thinking of a very specific card. Well, that was it. Good for you, dealer. So now early position with a full house. I'm not going to check and give anyone the chance to check it through, especially because a flush got there. Either player could have had a flush draw, and if they did, they're definitely going to call my bet, maybe even raise. If a hand like Ace-Jack is at the river, they will easily check it behind on this card, so can't give him the chance to not pay me if there's a better Jack out there. So I lead out for $55. First player calls very quickly. The second player, he thinks about it for a while, and he asks me if I have exactly Jack 2, and I, of course, am a truthful guy. I say, yes, I do have Jack 2. He decides he doesn't believe my fallacies, so he decides to call as well. Has a semi-chuckle when he sees that I did actually have Jack 2, and we win that one as well. Definitely started off this meetup game very hot. $500 buy-in up to about $1,100 or $1,200. Quick note, the vlogs going forward will have a lot more live content going forward, so if you appreciate that kind of vlogging, hit the subscribe button. It helps out the channel a ton, and I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you. So next interesting hand. I am on the button. Under the gun raises to $12. There's one caller, and the cutoff raises to $35. And I have pocket kings. Pocket kings are quite a nemesis of mine. I've lost so much money with them since the world reopened, at least in Florida, that maybe I do an overcorrection and just call here. My thinking at the time is that I believe aces will call easily and all worse hands will fold. Additionally, the player who 3-bet I think has quite a marginal range. On most flops and most turns, I can get a second and maybe even third bet out of him. So I think I give myself a better chance of making money for just calling pre-flop for a bit of deception. Well, to my surprise, the under the gun raiser calls and the middle position caller calls as well. So we're going 4 ways to a flop. Not ideal anymore, but it is what it is. The flop is 6-3 deuce. That's a pretty good board, honestly. That's a great board for pocket kings. The pre-flop raiser checks, the middle position caller checks. The pre-flop 3-better puts out a bet of $50. This is a time where I gather some chips, I arm up, and it is now time to announce my hand. I think the pre-flop 3-better can easily have queens, jacks, 10s, a lot of things like that, some random ace X's, and many hands that can pay me off. The other middle position people that check to me really shouldn't have a hand that connects to a board this low. Well, to my surprise, the pre-flop aggressor calls my $150 bet.
We are in serious trouble.
And the pre-flop caller decides he's going all in. And then the pre-flop 3-better decides he's going all in.
We are in very serious trouble.
The rest of the table kind of went back at me like, yeah, at this point it's an easy fold. I'm nearly certainly against exactly 4-5 or a random set, most likely 6s. I can't call this the way the action is going, so I do a semi-disciplined fold, I guess. And the pre-flop raiser, he goes all in as well. So the 3 of them go all into a run out. And it turns out that I was against 2 different 4-5s and pocket pair of 2s. I include this hand kind of for hindsight. Like, I lost a good amount of money on this hand playing it theoretically poorly. However, after thinking about it for a while, I'm pretty happy with how I played my hand. If I 4-bet pre-flop to, let's say, $95 to $110, and even one of these 3 players decides to call, I do get stacked or double them up, depending on who it is. Like, guaranteed. With that board, if I 4-bet they call, I'm more than happy to get it in with them. If I 4-bet, yes, I get the immediate $50-ish that was already out there from the pre-flop action, but I choose to call. My goal is to open myself up to a little bit of risk, but gain more value the times where they don't just happen to absolutely smash that board. But I'm actually okay with just calling there with the kings after some thought. All right, so a final hand of note. This meetup game was quickly turning into a 1-3-10 game. With one limper to me, I raised to $30 with pocket sixes. It's a strong hand that I might be able to get 100% folds on and just win $26, but if not, I'm fine to set mine and play my position and image as it stands. One late position player calls and a limper calls as well. So we're going 3 ways to a flop, which comes ace, 6, deuce. That is the literal dream flop when you have a pair of sixes. No one should really have pocket aces, as they didn't 4-bet or even raise if it was the limper, so sixes should be the nuts here forever. When it checks to me and I'm in middle position, I decide to check. Because this board is so dry, I'm really not worried about anything. Any ace X's from any position will call my bets on later streets. I want someone to catch up if they really have very weak hand. The late position player decides to bet $40. Music to my ears. The limp caller decides to fold and it's back to me. I look at his stack and he has exactly $280 left behind. The thought is, do I raise here or just go for 3 streets? I decide at this point that I'm gonna just call. I think that there's plenty of ways I can get all the money in by the river without putting a raise in just now. So I think a call is the best option. The turn is the queen of hearts. Because a backdoor flush draw comes and that might scare away a random ace, I want to make sure I can keep stringing him along. So my goal is to bet $80 now and 200 on the river as long as a heart does not come. Ace queen will definitely get in with me, as well as ace king and all ace X of hearts. So I'm very happy to bet here and get value from all those hands, as well as name my price for the river. Well, my opponent goes all in after a bit of thinking, which is fine because of all the hands that I beat that would do this. I call his all-in bet and he has pocket queens. This hand was disappointing for several reasons. One, I had a million ways to win. If I just bet on that flop, queens probably folds as it's ace high. And if I raise his bet, he probably folds because the board is ace high. So I had 2 different ways I could have got him to fold and win the hand. Additionally, I don't understand his bet of $40 on that flop. He didn't 3-bet me pre-flop. He bet on an ace high board with queens. Quite odd. Well, he's the winner. He got a full double up from the bank of Kyle. Congratulations to that person. We punt off a lot towards the end of this session that started out very, very good. So we're into the game for $500, out of the game for $314. A $186 loss across 7 hours equates to a little over $20 an hour.
And I live in a van down by the river.
The meetup game was awesome. Thank you everyone who showed out to it. It was great. Comment if you are interested in playing my next meetup game. I will schedule it accordingly based on demand. Thank you for watching. There will be more to come next week.